Hi, my name is Michael Caldwell, and this is Group 3 and our presentation on colon cancer. Um, as I said before, my name is Michael. We also have Ryan, Andrea, Antron, Thomas, and Todd, and this is for health policy. Um, Colon cancer is the second most deadliest cancer. It is considered first when you take out the smoking equation of cancers. It affects men and women, and every year more than 1 million people worldwide are diagnosed with this cancer. 70% of the people who have the cancer are 65% or older, and it's not known as of yet what causes the cancer, but they do know that it develops sporadically. Um, it is also known that people who have immediate family members, say a mother or a brother or sister who have had colon cancer, are more than likely to develop and die from the disease. For this reason, it's seen as an epidemic. Screening is the most important way to fight colon cancer. It is seen that if a person is screened every 2 years, it can decrease the mortality rate of colon cancer by 16%. Percent of the people who do not have insurance get screened yearly or every 2 years, and the reason for that is it's considerably expensive to get screened. It is known that it costs usually $1,000 to get screened, and that's if any polyps are not found. Because of this, the ACA classified colon cancer screening as a preventative medicine or reason. The ACA has classified colon cancer screening as preventative care, and this is to encourage people to get screened more often and more regularly. Even though that has happened, the screening levels are still low, so they are putting in place more policies, and hopefully in a few years the ACA can move the screening rates up for people with colon cancer or people who may be subject to colon cancer. Next, Todd will discuss more of the legislative process and the ACA and things of that nature. So here goes Todd.
Hi, my name is Todd Walter, and my presentation is on the legislative process as it relates to colorectal cancer screening. I'm sure if you asked any of the representatives or the senators in the federal government how they felt about colorectal cancer screening and how the importance of doing these tests are, I'm sure most of them would tell you that it's a very important thing to do, and they are fully in support of people getting colorectal cancer screening. However, the voting record has a different story. In 2002, the Eliminate Colorectal Cancer Act was working its way through Congress, and in 2013, the Removing Barriers to Colorectal Cancer Screening Act also went through Congress. Both of them were sent to different committees. In the Senate, the Finance Committee tends to be the main one to deal with these types of bills, although sometimes the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee deal with it. In the House, however, there's Ways and Means Committee and the Energy and Commerce Committee. Both simultaneously tend to look at these types of bills. Sometimes the Oversight and Government Reform Committee will look at them as well. From there, it goes down to a subcommittee of the Energy and Commerce Committee called the Health Subcommittee. Both these bills, unfortunately, never made it through the House. They failed to pass. What it comes down to is that Democrats are willing to use federal funds to help people get their colorectal cancer screening, and are willing to pass bills that will mandate insurance coverage for these tests. However, Republicans are not willing to use federal funds for this, and they are not willing to pass any bill that creates a mandate for insurance coverage. They do not feel that colorectal cancer screening is important enough to justify spending any federal money on this item. Thank you. That is the end of my presentation.
Hi, my name is Andrea Hugo. I'm going to be talking about the interest groups. Within the healthcare sector, Republicans traditionally have gained the most contributions by health interest groups. In 2008 and in 2010, the Democrats received the majority of cash from the healthcare sector. The health sector was majorly affected by the implementation of the Affordable Care Act, a major restructuring of national healthcare policy that became law in 2010. The sector has since been split on the law, with many doctors' associations opposing it while pharmaceutical companies backed it. In 2009, the healthcare sector spent more than $552 million on lobbying efforts alone. Then in 2013, the interest groups spent more than $483 million on lobbying, more than $228 million of which came from the pharmaceutical industry. That industry includes pharmaceutical researchers and Manufacturers of America and the American Cancer Society. Other top lobbying spenders in the health sector include American Hospital Association and the American Medical Association, both of which spent more than $20 million on lobbying. The health industry spent more on lobbying than any other group, including $1 million a day on lobbying and campaign contributions during the 2009 debate. Many elements of the legislation were written directly by the lobbyists.
Hello, my name is Ryan Gaffney, and today I'm going to be discussing the coalitions, political action committees, and regulating agencies that involved with colorectal cancer screenings. Begin with coalitions. There are many coalitions actively involved. I'll discuss a few within today, some of the larger ones I found. And most of them are assumed to be permanent coalitions, until certain medicine advancements can be made as far as treatments for cancer. To begin, the NCCRT, the National Colorectal Cancer Roundtable, was established by the CDC and American Cancer Society in 1997. They wish to increase the number of successful colorectal cancer screening tests. The Colon Cancer Coalition is another one that began in 2006 in Minnesota. They're a 501c3 organization. They basically have a thing every year for 5K race, and it's called the Get Your Rear in Gear. And it's just to raise awareness, and they have a current goal right now to increase their screening rates by 80% by 2018. The NCCS, National Coalitions for Cancer Survivorship, they're an advocacy group that just works with promoting their interests and raising awareness for colorectal cancer screenings. They did so with the ACA, different things like that. They're a leader with the Comprehensive Cancer Care Improvement Act. They also partner with the American Society for Clinical Oncology to form the Cancer Quality Alliance. That was actually a temporary alliance that only lasted until 2013. It was 8 years, and it involved 28 different organizations. There's also the Colon Cancer Alliance, another 501c3 group. They wish to remove colorectal cancer as one of the top cancer causing cancer deaths in the U.S. There's also some state-specific ones, the California Colorectal Cancer Coalition, or C4. Minnesota Cancer Alliance is another one, and they actually started the movement for Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, and they're trying to promote other states to do the same. Now, to talk about some of the political action committees that work within our government to try to promote some of the interests involved with colorectal cancer screenings and things like that. There's approximately 358 political action committees that make contributions to federal candidates. $55 million was spent in 2014 election cycle toward these candidates from the political action committees. One political action committee was the AMA, the American Medical Association, which contributed about $1.68 million in 2014 election cycle. They actually gave some large donations to even specific individuals like Frank Pallone and Ed Markey, which they gave $15,000 and $17,000 respectively. For the American Gastroenterology Association, the AGA, actually contributed $202,500 in 2014 election cycle. They support the colorectal cancer control program ran by the CDC, and their goal is to increase rates for colorectal cancer in the 22 states that are involved. There's also some other PACs involved, Citizens for Cancer Awareness. This is an advocacy group where different citizens can be involved and volunteer their time to raise awareness. The Gastrointestinal PAC, Some state-specific ones, such as the North Carolina Gastroenterology, PAC. They also have a Fight Colorectal Cancer, which is another volunteer-style raise awareness for colorectal cancer screenings. And some of the regulating agencies involved, most of them are under the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. The ones that are most involved with colorectal cancer screening would be the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, Food and Drug Administration, Health Resources and Services Administration, and the National Institute of Health. Now, there's a lot of other ones that may be involved, but those are what was reported as most involved with colorectal cancer. There's hundreds of subcommittees within the industry that might be involved, whether it's just putting their interests on during the legislations or making accreditation for certain companies on certain quality standards. But each agency would have a different focus based on their expertise, based on their premise of their interests and whatnot. Some might be more financially focused, while others are more focused on the quality of care and standards set in the industry. So with that being said, next we're going to hear about some possible solutions, and then we'll conclude our presentation.
Hi, my name is Antoine Martin, and I'm going to be talking to you about the solutions portion. So, as we should know by now, colorectal cancer is the second most common cause of cancer death amongst men and women in the United States. So with that in mind, we should have some solutions. One posable solution is colorectal cancer screening. So, as suggested by one study, they've seen a 30 to 60% decrease in mortality just using colorectal cancer screening. With colorectal cancer screening, there's three types of exams. You have the fecal occult blood testing, you have the sigmoidoscopy, and you also have the colonoscopy. Now, the colonoscopy is the more expensive test, but it's also been shown to be the more effective test in regards to picking up more adenomas. However, it is an invasive exam, so a lot of individuals may prefer the fecal occult blood testing exam. With this exam, there are multiple screens, but not necessarily as effective as the colonoscopy. Another posable solution to colorectal cancer is dietary regulation. In other words, there are certain supplements that individuals intake that have been shown in correlation with colorectal cancer. Some of these supplements are calcium, fiber, sugar, fat, vegetables, and meat. One study saw that the increase in calcium is actually a protective factor against carcinogenic adenomas. For sugar, sugar has also been seen as a causative agent. So in other words, it's been shown to increase the incidences of colorectal cancer. Fiber, because it speeds up the passage of matter through the gut, it's supposed to protect individuals from carcinogenic substances sitting in the gastrointestinal system. Red meat consumption can also be a factor to look at, because too much red meat can lead to incidences of colorectal cancer. So now that we're aware of colorectal cancer screening and dietary regulation, where do we go from here? Well, I think that with these two solutions, we can enact protocols and guidelines so that we can develop health campaigns and material as a means to promote colorectal cancer awareness amongst people. With these protocols and guidelines, and also with the inclusion of the Affordable Care Act, since now the Affordable Care Act is now beginning to place a stronger emphasis on prevention, I think that we can now begin to push people towards being aware of colorectal cancer, knowing what they can do if ever diagnosed as a means to decrease colorectal cancer incidences.
Cancer continues to be a problem in the world today, especially in America. However, it's a preventable problem. As discussed earlier in this paper, regular screenings after the age of 40 can severely reduce the risk of mortality by keeping medical professionals up to date on your colon health and finding cancerous polyps before they have a chance to threaten your livelihood. While some health and lifestyle changes, like eating healthier and exercising regularly, may lead to reduced chance of developing colorectal cancer, the best way to fight against this disease is to encourage regular screenings and test people who are part of the at-risk age. Screenings have proven results, but legislators do not seem to support the idea that everyone should have access to them. Interest groups can help with this process. They can use their considerable clout to help make sure legislative action takes place so that more people can afford to be screened if they want to. Screening beginning at 40 can reduce the mortality of colorectal cancer by 16%, and yet we see less than 50% of people who are covered for screens take part in them. The most important action our program can take is to make sure that people who are covered for screening actually get screens. These screenings can be increased by making sure at-risk populations have all information they need to know the health risks of not getting screened for colorectal cancer. All the information present here tells us one thing: colorectal cancer is preventable. By encouraging legislators to cover more screening options for more people, we can make sure those who want to get screened can afford it. Having the strong backing of coalitions and interest groups means that we can stand together and keep people informed of the risks and make sure that Congress and regulating agencies and government take all the necessary steps to safeguard public health. Finally, by keeping every person at risk informed of where, how, and why to get screened, we can make sure that everyone who worries about colorectal cancer need worry no more. Thank you.
The campaign created by Group 3 for colorectal cancer awareness is Show You Care, Be Aware. The overall message we are trying to send in the medias we created is that we want people to be aware of the screening process for colorectal cancer and that it is important for people to do it not only for themselves but for the people who love them. Each piece of media includes silhouettes of people. By using silhouettes of people, it shows that colorectal cancer does not discriminate against race, sex, or age. You cannot put a face to this cancer. We have also included facts about colorectal cancer in each piece. These facts are the most important things to remember. The poster talks about how getting regular screenings is something that everyone can do for themselves and for their families. Ask your doctor about when to begin testing and how often you should be tested. The fact we included is that colon cancer is the third most common diagnosed cancer. The flyer talks about how you can set a good example for your family by getting screened starting at age 50. It is important for the next generation to know how important screening is. The facts we included here are that 28 million Americans are not up to date on their screenings. 1 in 20 people will be diagnosed with colon cancer in their lifetime, and that if found early, most polyps can be removed before they have a chance to turn into cancer. The question card gives information about questions you can ask your doctor. The fact included here is that the screening test can find this cancer early, and that's when treatment works the best. The insert explains that if our present generation is screened, it will prepare our future generations. If you have loved ones who are 50 or older, ask them to talk to their doctor about screening options. The facts included here are that when being screened for colon cancer, you have more than one choice, and that people with a family history of colon cancer are at a higher risk. The postcard is just a quick reminder that it is time for your colon cancer screening.